So I'll be talking about AI and law in the context of industry session. So I'll try to say a few words about the state of relationship between industry and academia in Brazil and overall. So basically, let me start with a couple of words on this difficult expression, which is AI, right? AI means many things to many people. So it's basically the study of artificial devices that behave intelligently, so it's hard to define. But I think for the public as a whole, it has become a lot more. It has become really the construction of any computer artifact that solves any complex activity at some abstract level. So AI has broadened, has seen its scope broaden in the last few years. And I think it's in this context that I'll say a few words connecting industry and academia. Because industry is now looking at AI to solve many different problems that are related to computers and the solution of a complex document-based challenges. I'll say a few words from this perspective, and also looking at trying to show a bit about Brazil to our international audience. First of all, Brazil is a big country, has a large population. You see it in green in the map. I'm speaking from São Paulo, the big city in the southeast. It's a very diverse city. You can find very different photos of it. So you saw photos in the website of the conference. Here's a different photo. And if you look at some statistics about AI in Brazil, you will find, for example, statistics relating the production of publications. I apologize for the words in Portuguese here, but this is a result of a Brazilian study from the Brazilian government about publication rates. You see that Brazil is up there in 12th position. It's been between 10th and 15th position throughout the years in publications. So research-wise, Brazil is sort of a middle player. Also, you see the same data from a different source. This is from OECD, the Organization of Developed Countries. This is a different graph, of course, but you can see that there is the United States and China competing for the top position, and then a few countries in the middle. You see Brazil. Here's the orange block. It occupies the 15th position if you look at the volume of publications. Okay, so research-wise, Brazil has been a player. It has a sort of a strong community of researchers looking at AI, working for several decades. Also, this is an interesting study produced by Tsinghua University from China. They actually counted the number of top researchers in each country, and they defined top researcher as a researcher with an H index, a measure of publication productivity, within the 10% of top international researchers. So you can see that with this measure, Brazil actually appears in 8th position with a substantial number of talented, according to this definition, researchers. Actually, this same study also ranked universities, and you see that surprisingly, I would say, the University of São Paulo appears here in 5th position in the number of talented researchers that they identified in this study. So we do have some strong academic interest in AI. Also, there is now really strong activity in the innovation and industry sector. If you look at let me explain this graph. This is a graph produced by the Brazilian government. The Brazilian government has a program that supports corporations. It pays for projects. It pays for innovation in companies. This project is called Embrapi. You can see in blue the percentage of projects that are related to artificial intelligence. It's the largest block. It's the largest percentage within all projects that they received in the last year. So it got almost 20% of all projects. So almost all 20% of all projects submitted to the branch of the Brazilian government are related to artificial intelligence. Actually, let me say a few things about this. I think the private sector is really interested in AI in Brazil. There was a survey conducted by KPMG last year, and I will just quote from the survey. It identified more than 700 startups. It's not equally distributed around the country. More than 50% are in the state of São Paulo. But most of them are related to health, human resources, and 10% are related to agriculture, agribusiness. Actually, a substantial number of startups are related to text processing and chatbots, conversational agents, and many of them are related to law in this regard. So we do have substantial private action happening. This is, I think Brazil has a few advantages in putting together private and putting the private sector interested in AI. Brazil has a large and connected population. The Brazilian population is actually known to be really interested in novel technologies. So we have institutions that generate high quality data in many different ways. And we have a strong legal institutional infrastructure support research and development in innovations. So with many different institutions involved. And recently, the Brazilian government published a national strategy. More than 30 countries have strategies now, so Brazil has one. One thing that is interesting about this strategy is that it emphasizes regulation and ethical use of AI. And this is a direction that I think law and AI can really work together in trying to see which kinds of regulations should be used and enforced, and how to make guarantee that devices have an ethical use and behave ethically. There is also the Brazilian strategy looks at workforce, education, research, many different aspects of AI. And in particular, it looks at ways to emphasize centers, research centers that can work as hubs for innovation and the connection between industry and research. We now have several AI centers in Brazil. Recently, the federal government selected 6 new centers. We had a center already in the state of São Paulo. That's the center I direct. And we have a few centers in Rio de Janeiro and Goiás. Let me just say that we'll have, for example, a roundtable this week with all these centers. So the discussion is really picking up here around these centers. And I will say a few words about the center I'm more involved with, which is the Center for Artificial Intelligence. We refer to it as C4AI at the University of São Paulo. It's a center funded by the university, FAPESP, which is a support agency for research, and IBM Research. The idea is to carry out fundamental and applied research, seeking breakthroughs in AI. Okay, we have about 100 researchers. Juliano Maranhão is a distinguished fellow in this center. And we have a 10-year research horizon, funding horizon for the center. We have an outreach program. We have seminars. We have had the opportunity to invite leading top researchers, and we have had roundtables, such as the one that we'll have this week on AI centers. Okay. We also have a few research challenges that we are addressing. I will do it very briefly because I suppose I understand this is not really the time, but one thing we're doing is facing tackling problems that Brazil can benefit from. So for example, we're looking at ocean data. Brazil has a large coastal area. We're looking at diagnosis and rehabilitation for stroke. We're looking at decision-making in food networks. Brazil has a lot of food production. And we're looking at public policies in the future of work in emerging countries. And one thing we're doing, and that's the first square that you see, the light green, is trying to make natural language processing in Portuguese stronger. And I think this is really related to things that law tech needs in Brazil. We don't have as many tools for Portuguese as we have for English and for Chinese. And so one thing we need, a collective here in Brazil, academia and industry, is to have to produce more tools for Portuguese. This would be really important and really important for everyone. So I can see a few opportunities in the connection between industry and academia. Data and text processing is one, in particular for us in Portuguese. A second opportunity is to develop together and study together issues of interpretability, explainability, and fair decision-making. We need our devices, artificial devices, to be interpretable and fair. We need to know that they are fair. And also, I think between AI and law, we can find many opportunities for collaboration when we put together data-driven decisions coming from the analysis of documents and data, and knowledge-based reasoning coming from roles that are in the profession, the legal profession. So these are things that we can collaborate in the connection between industry and academia. Just to finish, I will say that when I think about industry and academia and the public sector, I think that many years ago, I mean, not too many, but maybe 10 years ago, most people in the legal community and collaborated with the AI and law community. And most of what they saw from AI was a bunch of tools. I mean, there were tools that people could use to process data, to process documents, to maybe help a little bit understanding and classifying documents. I think this now has changed. And in fact, AI can benefit from law, from the legal profession as a whole, and from the AI law community, because we in AI, we need to know how to do things ethically. We need to know how to do things in ways that protect privacy and that can support society in the best possible way. So I think to finish is the way the direction we're moving is this. There will be a two-way path between the legal community and the AI law community and the technical AI community. Tools will go from both sides. You know, we from the technical side need the legal knowledge that the legal community has, and I think the legal community can benefit from the tools that the technical AI folks can produce. So that's what I wanted to say. I think the connection between industry and academia and public sector is really strong now, and let's hope the connections bloom and continue growing explosively as they are. Thanks a lot.